What's up everyone? Welcome back to Living Survival. My name is Ben and today we're going to take a look at what I feel is the best portable wood stove that I've tested for a hot tent or winter camping shelter. So over the years I've tested a few hot tent style stoves or portable wood stoves that can be used in a hot tent style shelter such as a teepee. I've tested titanium stoves not only in the box style but in the cylindrical style such as this one. Those are lightweight, they heat up fast, they cool down fast. They can be a little finicky to put together, especially with having to roll the pole. With this one you have sections of pole which make it nice. It's easy to put together, but you can also add to the length just by adding another section of pipe. So one of the differences with the GStove here is that it's stainless steel, so it is quite a bit heavier. It's 20 pounds versus about 4 pounds of a titanium stove. Again, you have the stainless pipe sections and you also have the stainless body itself. Now the body is beautiful. It's fully welded. It's super durable. It's got a front view window, which is really nice. You can see the stage of your burn. They also make a cooking style or an oven style version of this where they have a little slot in the back. I believe that's called their camp view stove or cooking view stove. They also make several different accessories such as different top caps. They make water heaters that you can place on this. They make racks that you can place on this. Now the camp view stove, as I have here, does have the two shelves that fold out to the side. It has fold out legs. You can get extendable legs, so you can really configure this in several different ways. The beauty of it is that it's toolless, so you don't have to thread any bolts or find any small nuts and tighten things down. You literally just set this down, extend it in a few places, and you're ready to start heating up your shelter. So the front door on the stove is also very high quality. You have a high quality vent system here, high quality rings, very thick gauge style rings, a very thick door with a clasp so it does shut. You also have this clear view here, which I thought was awesome. You can see the stage of your burn. Now, as you open this up, you'll notice that you can fit all your pipe sections on the inside. So you would just go ahead and slide these out. This is the spark arrestor. Now you can get this spark arrestor, or you can get just a simple rain cap. So a couple different options there, and then all the rest of your pipes will just simply slide right out of the stove, and then you can go ahead and assemble those. You can see these sections of pipe have press fittings to them, so again, very easy to set up. And not only that, but you can adjust your length depending on the shelter that you're going to be using this in. On the top, you simply just fold out these two shelves, which again is very nice. You can use these to dry out wet wood. You can use these to set additional cooking utensils on, such as mugs or pots or pans. These do not get very hot, so you could also place mittens or hats or anything you might want to dry on there. And then you also have this rack, which goes on the inside, which you don't have to use, it's optional. But what this does is it creates airflow on the bottom of your wood so that you're gonna get a nice burn in your stove. So it just rests in there on some little pegs. And then they also give you this tool here, which you can see is curved on the bottom. What that allows you to do is it allows you to get in here and scrape out your ashes. So not only does that make it easy to scrape out your ashes, but your door is also removable. So they've really thought of everything. You can see here just how thick this is. Very, very thick stainless. I mean, this thing is rock solid, a lot more sturdy than some of the lightweight titanium stoves. You can see the back to the stove is elevated. They say that that helps increase airflow. Now you can get a damper for your stovepipe. I need to order one. I didn't get one, so I was having some trouble keeping some of the heat inside the shelter. It was just simply just going right through the pipe and out. And although it does get really hot, it's nice to have that secondary damper in addition to your front vent to be able to control the heat of the stove, be able to control the temperature within your shelter. On the bottom, you have these legs here, which again are heavy duty. They work really well on snow, but you've got these little clips here that you just release. on both sides, top and bottom. And then you simply just click your leg into place here, and you just go ahead and put your pins back in. So very, very simple to extend the legs. They do also make leg extensions, so if you wanted your stove to be a little bit higher, you could raise it up as well. Again, the beauty of it is that it's toolless, so it's very simple to just extend, set up, and that goes a long way when you're really cold, trying to work with small nuts and bolts in the winter time. You have to take your gloves off to do that on other stoves. Again, you don't have to roll a stovepipe. You'll just literally connect everything together, set it up, and you're on your way to heating your shelter or being able to cook food. So if you don't have a stove jack in your shelter, GStove also makes this pipe sleeve, which is quite a bit bigger than their standard pipe. And what this does is it goes around the outside of the pipe where your pipe would exit the shelter, and keeps it from catching that on fire. But since I've been using this in the Lux teepee, there's a stove jack. I'm all set, don't need the sleeve. One product that works really well to light these wood stoves is this new wax wood stick from Production Hanger 51, the makers of Fat Rope. I've been using Fat Rope for quite a while now. This is pretty cool. It's just like fat wood. It's a piece of wood that's been highly saturated with wax. So if you had a ferro rod, for example, you could make curls out of this and it would catch a spark. I just use a lighter, so I can just light up one of these sticks, stick it in there, and it'll get even marginal wood going without having to process down so much wood. So I just use some smaller stuff, some smaller twigs and some cedar, and then I use larger chunks of oak to keep my wood stove going. But these wax wood sticks work really good, so make sure you check those out. Link will be below in the description. So again, this raised shelf in here works really well. You don't have to use it, you could take it out, but what I find works really well is I can put my my tinder or my dry material right on top there. I can throw a couple of logs up on top of it. You could process this stuff down further, but I don't really find I need it. And then I can light up my wood stick and stick it right down below there, and it's going to get that going in no time. You can see that the draft doesn't take long to start, and all of my smoke is already going out the chimney. Now, if you did have some really smoky wood, you could of course close the door. Generally, I'll leave the door open until my fire gets established, and then I can close it and I can vent it down. You can see with no damper on the pipe and the vent in the front wide open how much of a draft you get. I mean, it's like rocket draft in there, which will get your wood going in no time. Now, like I said, the stainless does take a little bit longer to heat up than titanium, and I need to get that damper for the pipe where it exits the stove to be able to keep some of that heat in the box. But if you don't want to burn so hot, you can obviously just turn down your vent, shut off some of your air, and then you're going to get a lot more burn time out of your wood. It doesn't take long to figure out the adjustments and where to put your vents and where to put your damper. Again, it just depends on how hot you want your shelter, how hot you want the stove when cooking, for example, or how quickly or slowly you want your wood to burn. Even though my stove is way too hot to touch, these sides stay nice and cool, so you could set wood on there if you needed to dry it out. Again, you could set clothing on there if you wanted to dry that out, or of course you can set extra cookware on there or mugs. Now, since this has an elevated back to it, I find that it doesn't have quite the cooking surface that some other stoves have, but it's durable enough. You could easily use a cast iron pot on it. And of course, there's plenty of room for other cookware, such as this titanium pan, but you don't really have a secondary surface unless you pull this back a little bit to put a pot to boil water. So you do have a fairly limited cooking surface, although it is quite stable, and you can use pretty heavy-duty cookware with it. When your fire's out and you want to empty your ash pit, you can either just take the door off or dump it, or you can take the little ash scraper that they have and scoop the ash out that way, or scrape the ash out. So it really is one of the easiest hot tent stoves, and of course one of the most durable that I've tested. With how sturdy this stove is, you can really load it up with heavy, long pieces of wood. So I can shove this big piece of oak in there. I've got several pieces of oak in there right now, and it works no problem. So even without a damper on the pipe and it being really windy and cold, it's still 92 degrees mid-level in the teepee. Nice and hot, definitely warm enough, too warm to where I would just dial down the vent and bring her back down to about 80 degrees and then let my wood continue to burn. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on the GStove. Let me know by leaving me a comment below. I'm also gonna put a link to where you guys can pick one of these up for yourselves. They mate really well with the Luxe teepee that I reviewed several days ago, but you can use it with any hot tent style teepee or shelter. Please feel free to share this video to any of your friends or family who might be interested, and if you haven't already done so, click that red subscribe button, here comes the wind, and that notification bell to be notified of new videos.